Hey, we're live. Welcome. Glad you're here. This is what day? Thursday, October 24th, 2019. Larry's here. Just give the. I'm not seeing anybody in the chat yet, so we're getting going, and I haven't gotten the notification on my cell phone yet that we're live. So as soon as that happens, then we know we got 6. It's weird that I haven't gotten the notification yet. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we got it. All right, so we just got it. I pulled it up and just got the. All right, so now we're good to go. Although, hi Paul, hi Linda. We've got Linda from. Thanks, Paul, for being here. We have 18, so take it away, Larry.
All right. What we're waiting on now is a press conference or statement from Graham and McConnell. And what it's about is a resolution that condemns these closed door House hearings of Schiff. And basically what the Republicans are saying now, that now McConnell's on board. Somehow he got on board. I can't figure that one out, but he is on board at least for now. To where if through these closed door hearings where everything is sealed, there's no jurisprudent protocol of any sort that's fair, then what Graham and now McConnell are saying is they are introducing a resolution that they fully expect to be signed by the majority, if not all, of the Republicans in the Senate, that they will decline to hold an impeachment trial. You know, folks, we're making history now every day. Every day. We're making some kind of, and it's not good history. It's not. Things are going on in our government that are showing we have a complete breakdown in our government. Complete breakdown.
Well, isn't that what they wanted, Larry, to help overturn the Constitution?
As a matter of fact, it is. In one way, it's playing right into the hands of the Democrats, of the progressives. And it's accomplishing two things. Number one, it's a way to get rid of Trump. And at the same time, it's a way to show that our government, our form of government, the constitutional representative form of government, can't work today. It just can't. So therefore, we need to change our form of government to something more contemporary, something that better fits the age we're in today. Now, the truth to that is, as I've told you before, and I will keep saying it, it's not our form of government that's bad. It's not outdated. It's not. It's the people. It's the people that have infiltrated it at all levels. And I'm not just talking about the elected people in our government. I'm talking about the professional politicians, the professional government workers. It's all corrupt. It's kind of funny that we're sitting here and we're asking the Ukraine, you know, they need to work before we give them this aid, or as we're giving them aid, we want them to straighten out their corruption. And I find it hard to believe, folks, there's many governments right now anywhere in the world that are much more corrupt than this one. By the way, just saw a little thing fly across the screen, which you're going to see a lot of, and it says the ceasefire in Syria has broken down. No, it has not. No, it has not. You know, I've told you, I'll tell you again, in that region, when you have centuries old, starting back in biblical times, some of them, the feuds that have gone on, you don't just overnight say poof and now we're not fighting anymore. There's going to be trouble. There's going to be isolated incidents. There's going to be people that haven't gotten the word. There are going to be people that, even though they've gotten the word, they don't like the word. It's not going to be that smooth and that clean of a thing. It's just not. But I hate seeing the media so excited and trying to convince the American people that this is failing. They are chomping at the bits to try and find anything they can to stir it up and to cause the fighting to go on. As a matter of fact, we've got Pelosi and some of her people who have actually been calling, if you can believe it, calling into the region to the various sides, trying to instigate trouble. Fortunately, President Trump has been made aware of it and has taken precautions. The Democrats are willing, y'all, they are willing to destroy the world to get what they want this time. There is no next time. It's this time. The Democrats, the progressives, they're all in. There's no turning back now. There's no stopping it now. What?
What they're wanting is absolute power over the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, what they want right now is for us to succumb to socialism. And if they can bring our nation down to socialism, the rest of the world will soon follow. If America goes down, I hope y'all see, if America goes down and all of a sudden we have to resort to a socialist form of government, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. If that happens, what about the countries around the world that, based off of what we have done, have tried to set their governments up to look like ours? Most are simply democracies, but democracies are 10 miles better than the dictatorships and the communism that they've been under for years. What about those countries that are sitting out there thinking that they did good by becoming and fighting the fight that they did in their country and taking over their government and becoming a democracy of sort? And then when the country that they patterned it after falls, what do you think they're going to feel like? What do you think is going to happen to them? They're all going to feel like, oh my God, we had better change too. And the progressives and the George Soroses, they know this. They know this well. They know when America goes down, the rest of the world will fall like dominoes. And we've got a thin line of defense to stop this global transition. And that's what it is, a global transition. And I'm not talking about a good transition. I'm talking about this global takeover. We've got one thing to stop it. And that's November 2020, the election. Isn't that scary?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Now, once again, what I was saying a little bit ago, you have to know the progressives, the media, the Democrats, if you want to call them that, the deep staters, if you want to call them that, the Republican deep staters, if you want to call them that, they are all in. They're all in. They know there is no turning back. They cannot call it off now. They know that it is either win or all is lost. And their chance for taking over America that they have worked 75, 100 years, 50 years, however many years they've been working at it, they know that if they miss in November of 2020, that it'll be a long, many years before they'll ever get things lined up the way they have them today. Think about that. They're in it. They're all in it.
Larry, I'm going to show people what you did in, sorry, I got a 2015. Larry says, rub your fingers together, and that space in between your fingers is how close we are. And I hope everybody now sees that for sure.
Mm-hmm. I wasn't kidding back then, and I'm certainly not kidding now. But if you want to really know, do what Mary Ellen's telling. Take your thumb and your pointing finger, and I want you to put it right in front of your face, and I want you to rub those two fingers together. Just rub them gently together. And that distance from your thumb to your pointing finger as you're rubbing them together, that small distance, that's how close we are to losing. Losing our way of life, losing our heritage, losing our future, losing our children and grandchildren's future. That's where we are. Now, I may sound down. Right now. I'm just worn out. I'm not down. I'm concerned.
You're tired from working so hard too.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm worn down. But we have fight left in us, and we have fighting yet to go. There's going to be one rule for us in this battle. If you want to call it a battle, we'll call it a battle. That's what it is. There's one rule for us, and that is that you keep fighting. When it looks like they have hurt us bad, and it looks like they are winning, then we fight harder. You fight harder. When it seems apparent that it's over, that there's no way we can save 2020 or President Trump, when it looks like there's no way, then you know what? You fight harder still. They can never stop us if we don't quit fighting. They can't. They can't do it. It's impossible. But we've got to be tough. And we've got to stand our ground. Now, I appreciate what Lindsey Graham and I guess McConnell are doing. But it is history in the making. We have a total collapse of our government. Here we have Democrats trying to conduct sealed, what I would call star chamber type hearings, where President Trump's not allowed to face his accuser, where President Trump's not allowed to have his legal team see the evidence or the charges brought against him, where the president's not allowed to bring witnesses. None of that. I don't even know why they're bothering to, quote unquote, have these closed door hearings. Why doesn't Adam Schiff, he might as well just stand up, folks. He might as well just stand up and say, here's the deal, folks. I've decided I'm going to impeach President Trump. We don't need a hearing because he's not having a hearing. We don't need an inquiry because he's not having an inquiry. This is just a sham. This is just a facade. So they can tell their stupid people in their stupid soft base and hard base, oh yeah, we had hearings. We had hearings and we investigated this matter. We didn't just choose because we want to defeat President Trump and we're afraid we can't beat him in the election, so we're just going to impeach him. They don't want their people to know that, so they're telling them they had hearings. And just like Schiff has done before, you do realize Adam Schiff has stood up in front of his hard base, his soft base, and said, hey, I have seen hard evidence. Hard evidence. I've seen it of Trump with the Russians in collusion. That turned out not to be true. But you'll notice nobody in the mainstream media to this day, no one in the mainstream media has come back with the size article that they had showing Schiff standing up saying he had the evidence, had seen it and had it. Have any of you seen articles saying, whoops, he didn't have it? Have you? No. So if you're in the soft base of the Democratic Party, guess what? You still think he had evidence. You still think they had tons of guaranteed evidence. Now you would say, well, surely if he had hardcore evidence like he claimed, the Mueller report would have used it and he would have been recommended for prosecution. No, they don't think that deep. They don't think that deep. They just go with what they're told. See, that's the other thing that's wrong with the country now. We've got fully half of this nation that literally does not think for themselves. They are either told what to think by the professors in the schools they're in, or the media that they read, or the Democratic politicians that tell them stuff. That's all they know. They don't think for themselves. They don't work it out in their heads. You want to find out if I'm telling you the truth, go to a mall. Do the Nichols test, Nichols acid test. That's a simple one. Go to the mall. All right, hey, don't even go to the mall. Just go up and down your street. Up and down your street.
Or even ask people at church.
Yeah, ask people, though. Do you know about the committee, Appropriations Committee? Ask them if they know about the Appropriations Committee and how that works. Ask them if they know that if they were to get elected and these promises that they have made, ask them, do you think they can really do it? And I'll tell you what they'll say. Yes, they can do it. Where are they going to get the money? And you know where they'll say? They'll say by taxing the rich people and taking their money that we should have anyway, and not us. That's what they'll say. And if you ask them, have you seen any of the research, any of the studies, any of the facts that if you took all of the rich people's money, all of it, couldn't pay for all this stuff. It wouldn't pay for it. There is no money. But you know what? You got half this country folks that are sitting out there and thinking that AOC, that when she says, well, the government's got plenty of money, they believe it. They believe it.
Well, Larry, as soon as
you've got half of this country, folks, that believe that there is this pile of money that is that of the government. Half of this country fully believe that there is this pile of money that is that of the government. They don't understand that the government has no money at all. The only money the government has is the money they take from us. So whatever, in the most simplistic form you want to call it or say it, if the government wants to buy something or pay something like all college tuition, or if it wants to pay off all college debt, or if it wants to pay reparation to every black, pink, blue, green person on earth, whatever it wants to buy, it has to come to us and take the money to do it.
Yep.
But oh my God, to try to explain to 50% of this nation the system that bills have to go through to become laws and how they're funded through appropriations and such, to get them to understand that would never happen.
Well,
Never happen.
Larry, all they have to do is print it again, right?
Right. As far as anybody knows, that's all they got to do, just print it.
Just print it. They didn't then, but the problem with that is, then who prints it? The Federal Reserve, and we got to pay for that. So we're paying for it and paying for the interest on it, and
But you see, people, that 50% of the country, folks, does not understand. Well, let's take it by the numbers. Number one, they don't even know that the Federal Reserve is not a federal agency. It's a private corporation. Number one, they don't know that. They don't know that. Number two, they don't know that when we request money from the Federal Reserve, more dollars, that we have to pay for it. And number three, they sure don't know that we've got to pay for the money we get from the Federal Reserve plus interest, because we don't have the money to buy it when we ask them to print it. So we have to pay exorbitant interest. But if you don't know that, and 50% of the country just does not know this stuff. So if you don't know that, guess what? You don't even know what we're talking about when you talk about your country. You've got, to be honest, you've got no right to vote for anything. You're not smart enough to cast an educated vote.
Okay, MW says, what's appalling is they have the audacity to give foreigners free health care. And so people say if they can afford to do that, they can cover us all.
Oh, of course. And they also say if we can afford to give all this aid to all these foreign countries, then we could keep the aid and use it here. And that's true. And that is true. But it just don't quite work out as simply as 50% of this country thinks. And then the joke of jokes for 50% of this nation. 50% of this nation that's going to vote November 2020. The joke of jokes is the party that they are believing that they are to support because it cares about them, is ripping them off more than anybody. Ripping them off, using them, abusing them. And they don't even know that. And to show you how muddled all of this gets, here we have a president that actually, for all he is not, looking at strictly what he's done what he said he would do in a campaign, which is a total new concept in modern day politics. He's either done it or trying to do it. We've got a president that has done more for this nation in 2.5 years than the last 4 presidents in all of their terms combined. And they don't even know that. All they know is that they want to destroy him. And maybe what you don't know, you listening to me now even, they don't want to just destroy him. They want to destroy us. Us. All of us. They want to destroy us. You see, they consider us the enemy. And they consider us the most vicious, evil enemy that you could possibly have. And on our side, we've got the so-called, and I say so-called, Christian moral community. And we're sitting here to the people that consider us the worst enemy on earth. We're trying to cuddle and love them to death. And just like you are finding out in Syria with the Kurds, the Syrians, and the Turks, you're going to find out in the Middle East, guess what? They don't respect people that negotiate.
Right.
See, we played it all wrong for years and years and years in the Middle East. You know, we think if we go in and give them money, like Obama, if we give them $150 billion in cash on an airport runway in the middle of the night in the dark, if we do that, then they will love us. No, they won't. Not only will they not love us for doing that, they'll think less of us. They'll think we're weak. And they will just keep grabbing and taking more. Now along comes a president like President Trump. He doesn't stutter. He tells them what he's going to do. He doesn't give them the option to negotiate. And he does it. And what's funny, that the media will not cover or carry, is they respect that. They will honor that. Yesterday, I told you something that maybe I shouldn't, and I'm going to tell you a little more of it today that I probably shouldn't tell yet. but I'm going to. You know, I told you yesterday that the peace accord with Syria, the Turks, and the Kurds was a template. It was a template that if it's successful, and I'm talking about truly successful, I'm not talking about successful as the media portrays it, as the Democrats portray it. I'm talking about truly successful, and truly successful means, just so you know, there will still be firefights break out. There will be. You're not going to stop them. You're not going to stop them all. Hey, golly gee, we should be able to stop all violence in the Syrian, Turk, and Kurdish region, right? Northeastern region of Syria. We ought to be able to stop all the violence, right? Hell, we can't even stop it in Chicago. I assure you, more people will die in Chicago this weekend and this week than will die during this whole peace accord, same period of time. But the media is going to do everything it can to try to convince you and to try to convince the leaders of other countries around the world. They're going to do everything in their power to try to prove and tell people the peace accord's failing when it's not. So if the peace accord works for real, in truth, it's a template. It will be used as a template. And the next place that template will be used, I believe, my opinion, I'm going to put it that way, will be Afghanistan. Yes, Afghanistan. President Trump is fully committed. Do you hear me? Fully committed to get our troops out of Afghanistan. He knows that there is nothing in Afghanistan worth the life of one American soldier, not one. There's even nothing in Afghanistan that is worth one wounded American soldier. Nothing. Nothing. Just a bunch of old poppy fields run by the same warlords that have been running them prior to us getting there. No, George W. Bush, he had a bright idea, right? He said, let's go in, let's take Afghanistan, let's kick the Taliban out. And you know what? We'll teach those warlords to grow soybeans and whatever. Well, guess what? They ain't going to grow soybeans. They're not going to grow corn. They're not going to grow potatoes. They're not. They're going to grow what they have been growing for centuries, which is poppy. And so we've got our American soldiers, our blood, we've got our money by the billions going into that country, trying to stabilize something that's not going to be stabilized, and basically underwriting the poppy industry, opium. Think about that one. Now that's a heck of a fine mess our government policymakers got us in, isn't it?
Well, isn't that one of the reasons they're so angry about what Trump's doing right now? Because they're all making money off of it?
Part of it, right there.
Yeah,
See, what doesn't make sense to you and I, what doesn't make sense to us, makes a lot of sense when you understand that those people in Washington, D.C., that we call our government, they profit from these things. They profit personally. Personally, they're making money. They're laughing. And then they use us to take our money to pay for their stuff that they're doing to make them more money. Is this all we've come down to? Is this all we have become? President Trump, I believe, is going to say to the Taliban, to the Afghan people, you all need to work it out. I think he's going to offer some recommendations to the Taliban if you want to come back in and take over if they win through an election, which they will if they do. He's going to offer the attempt to say, you know, you've got to stop. You've got to stop the antiquated stuff you do to women and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He's got to suggest they stop, but that's all it's going to be. It's a suggestion. Because the minute we pull out, they're going to go back to what they were. That's what they want to be, folks. That's what they want to be. And the people in Afghanistan that you think, well, gosh, surely the women in Afghanistan don't want to not be allowed to drive or not to go to school or whatever. That is terrible. I know it's terrible. But don't you know it's never going to change until the people of Afghanistan change it. And that means they're going to have to fight. Yes, it does. And that means there are going to be thousands and thousands of lives lost. Yes, it does. We're not going to stop that anyway. One day, we will get out of Afghanistan if President Trump does not succeed in doing it during his administration. We'll get out of there. It will break us to our knees. We will pull out of Afghanistan. Maybe not today, not tomorrow, not next year, maybe 10 years, hell, maybe 20 years. It doesn't matter. We will leave Afghanistan. And when we leave Afghanistan, whatever day that is, from this day till that, the only thing that's going to change is how many American lives and wounds are lost. But when we leave, it'll go back to what it was before we ever got there.
Well, that's what you told them before they ever went in.
That's exactly right. And isn't it funny that a dummy like me told them back then those exact words? And here we are some numbers of years later, and those exact words were right. Afghanistan's not 1 inch better, folks. It's not 1 inch better off than it was before we got there. Now, technically, you could say, well, yeah, I mean, the Taliban's not cutting heads off as such as that. No, you're right about that. No, it's not that right now because we're there, but when we leave, it'll get back to it. We cannot make the people in the Middle East think like we do. They are not us, folks. They don't think like we do. They don't want what we do. Maybe there are some that do, but if the majority of the population did, then they could change it and fix it, but they don't.
Well, if they want to get out, there are ways that they can apply to come here. If they don't agree with what they've got, there are other places in the world they can go, and it doesn't even have to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So many other countries.
Well, but there you go, Marilyn. See, that was part of the brilliant strategy with all of this Middle Eastern intervention. Gosh, we got to go there, because if we don't go there, all those people are going to want to slip out and come here, and we don't want them all here, right? Well, guess what? We're there, and they're still trying to come here. Probably in greater numbers than ever.
Yep.
I'm telling you all of this, folks, so that you know we are in trouble. And just like I have said, Afghanistan's going to have to do, Syria, Turks, the Kurds, they're going to have to do. We got to clean up our mess. We got to clean it up. And either we clean it up in November 2020, or you're not going to want this country anymore. You're not going to want to be from America anymore. You're not going to see the stars and stripes and be proud anymore. I promise you that. Anyway, I've tied up too much time. What questions have we got, Mary Ellen? Right quick. We're running out of time.
Yeah, before we go to any questions, I've heard that there's a lot of unrest going on in many of the South American countries. So I'm not sure what that's all about, other than just creating chaos so that they can expand their control.
It's just a world gone mad when you let loose and everybody starts seeing the progressives to start winning in this country. It changes the whole perspective of the world. They haven't even won yet, but people think, based off what they see with CNN and such, they think they've won or they're going to win. And you're seeing the world turn. You're seeing it change.
Wow, so
What you got?
that's part of what they see. Who is shooting themselves in the foot, the Democrats or the Republicans?
I would say the Democrats at the present time, but if we wait a little longer, the Republicans will join in with them.
Yeah, that's what I would have answered too, based on what I've learned from you over the years. How are Pelosi and Schiff getting away with flagrant disregard for our laws?
Who are you going to call?
Come on, folks. You've heard Larry say this so many times. We should know the answers to these questions without having.
Who are you going to call? When the President of the United States of America cannot get justice, cannot get fairness, who in the hell can we call? Who can be called? The answer, who do you call? The answer is us. The real answer is us. We're the ones. We're the ones who's got to change it. We're the ones who's got to take it. We've got to take it November of 2020. We've got to take this country. We've got to claim it. We've got to say it's ours. We've got to quit backing up to everybody. We got to quit backing up to every one of these minuscule, loudmouth, creepy groups of people, the LBGTers, the don't eat fish people. I mean, the atheists. We've got to stand up for who we are and stop backing down. That's why we're in trouble. We back down. Oh, well, there's a couple of dozen don't eat fish people, and we'll change the whole world for them. We will. We'll change the whole country for them, for that small group of people. And we'll walk over ourselves to do it. We got to stand up for us. For once in our lives, we've got to stand up and we've got to claim the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that we're by God Americans. And yes, you know what? I'm white. I am a white American and I'm damn proud of it. And I hold that if you're a black American, I assume you're going to be just as damn proud of it as I am, being white. What I don't like is all of these people that are American Mexican, American African, are you an American or are you an African? Hell, they don't even know where Africa is. Anyway, what you got, Miriam?
Okay. How can we take it back in 2020 with all the voter fraud that we're anticipating and election fraud?
Well, number one, you don't give up and you don't let that be an excuse to think that we can't do it. Efforts are being made, I assure you, to address election fraud. Trust me. There's going to be a lot of it tried, but there's going to be more done this election cycle than ever before to stop it. I'm not going to tell you all of it will get stopped, but there's going to be a goodly amount of it's going to get stopped. But you don't sit back and say, oh, well, how are we going to do anything? They're going to cheat anyway. No. You get up, you get your butt down, and you vote. And you vote, and you demand a paper ballot. And then as we get closer to the election, we'll tell you what to do also to make sure that precinct is legitimate and where they count the votes is legitimate. We're going to have stuff for all of that. There's no sense talking about it right now.
Yep. I'm not going in order with the questions, folks, because I'm going to try and get a few things grouped together. Has Giuliani been taken off the Ukraine investigation? And we hear that the New York Barr is trying to force Attorney General into recusing himself from the Ukraine investigation. Can you say something about that?
Well, number one, Giuliani's not off of anything. He's very much involved in all of it still. And then I didn't understand the question. Barr's trying to get what?
The New York Bar Association is trying to force AG Barr to recuse himself from the Ukrainian investigation.
Well, they're going to try, but he's not.
Okay.
They are trying, but he's not going to recuse himself. And I don't think there is a legal way that they can force him to. That's being checked out and verified, but I assure you as of right now, there is no legal way for them to force his recusal. Now, a judge, they can go before court and go before a rigged judge, and the judge can say, hey, whatever. So, I mean, don't rule out a judge, but that's several steps down the process, and that's being accounted for.
Okay. Can the IMF print money for us?
Huh?
Can the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, print money?
No.
Okay.
Cannot. It would take, I guess Congress could, they could pass a law making it so, but it's not going to happen.
Somebody suggested having to pass a competency test in order to vote. They should at least know who the vice president is before they
I would, at one side of my mouth, I wish for that. The other side of my mouth doesn't. I mean, we are America, and if you're an American, a legal citizen in the United States of America, regardless of your mental status, you have a right in this country to vote, and we're not going to get anywhere changing our way of life.
Now, yesterday you told us that our troops were being stationed now in Iraq and Saudi Arabia, so we have a mic force in the region in case we're needed. We can show up immediately. So James is asking, will we withdraw from Iraq? Well, that's, we're there just to be on the ready.
That what I was talking about, James, was Afghanistan, pulling out of Afghanistan. We will leave, even if the president is successful in a maneuver to get us out of Afghanistan. We will maintain urgent strike forces in the region to handle any emergency situation. Not go to war, but an emergency situation, such as Benghazi. That ain't happening under Trump.
Do you think Assange will be extradited to the U.S.? And I know I didn't ask that question exactly the way it was written, but that's the best way I wrote down the note.
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I just don't know. I just don't know. And it'd be unfair for me to say.
Gloria, I've been to Poland. She's saying if I have to leave the U.S., I'll go to Poland. From what I saw when I was there, I was very impressed. So, but
let me tell you, if the United, let me tell you something, folks. If the United States of America falls to socialism, if it goes down to socialism, there is no place in the world you're going to go to that it's not going to catch up to you there. There will be no island you can go to. There will be no country that you can go to. It will start spreading throughout the world, and it'll be like a plague, and it will follow you wherever you go. So trust me, your fight is here now, and there ain't no losing for you either. Remember, the enemy, they're all in. They're all in. It's win or nothing. Well, I got a news flash for every one of us. We're all in, or it's nothing. We end up with nothing. And there's no place to go and hide, no place to go and pick up life all over again. It won't happen.
I heard yesterday or today about, there are a lot of expatriates in Ecuador because it was a much cheaper place to live. So they've got a whole enclave. And I understand that the U.S. Embassy there was telling all the the Americans and expatriates there to stay in their homes, that the violence had escalated to the extent that it wasn't safe to try to get to the airport to get out of there. So, that's an example of what happens when you go to another country. You're the foreigner. And as much as I admired and I didn't meet any of the Polish people, I just observed them and their interactions with one another and was very impressed. But, look what happened to them in World War II. So they were taken over and over pretty quick when fascism.
You probably don't believe me, so I'm wasting my breath telling you, but I am telling you, it will catch up wherever you go. There will be no safe place.
Yeah.
And the further you go to third world countries like Ecuador, places like that, you're literally going into just danger zones.
Yeah.
Because you go into those places and you're going to have to buy complete house property with fences and walls and armed guards.
Well,
and even then you won't be safe.
I mean, Larry, even in the 60s and 70s, that's what they had in many of the African countries. You had a walled compound for the expatriates, for the American missionaries, and when they decided trouble was coming, there was no. If you couldn't get out soon enough and have been astute enough to have seen and gotten out, you weren't getting out.
Yep. What else you got? What else you got before we go?
Yep. Gloria said, with the crime bill that went into effect in 1992, our government got drugs into big areas like Chicago and other places. Then came mass incarceration, and we had to drop off guns. She says, ask Larry. Ask Larry what, Gloria?
Ask me what? I didn't hear the question, I guess.
She just said, ask Larry, question mark. So, I don't know, maybe she just wanted you to verify that that was true.
Yes, to a great extent.
Did I? A couple of questions that I don't quite understand about Assange. Anne says her granddaughter lives in Spain. Should she come home? Probably not yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah. please don't get me in a situation where I'm trying to advise people about stuff like that. That's very personal to you and your family.
Yeah.
She's on the ground there. She should know what the environment's like, whether she feels safe or not. Probably right now it's safe. What I'm talking about is the day after November 20th, 2020. That's when you probably should start reconsidering things.
Pam asks, is Russia a closer ally to the U.S. because they're the second biggest threat to Soros?
Well, Russia's not that close of an ally to anyone, but we have a workable relationship with Russia. They don't like Soros. Soros don't like Russia either. So this is one of those cases where in many instances, folks, we're enemies in one war, but we're fighting side by side in another. So Soros is a plague to the world, not just to us. He's a plague to the world. He fully intends before he dies to change the world.
Wyatt says, what about Julian Assange being carried and not putting foot down on soil? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I know, but that's dealing with some kind of hypothetical stuff that I just can't deal with. I just can't deal with it.
Okay. James asked some question about Siberia, and I don't know what he was. I don't know if he was. I don't know what the question. I asked him what he meant, and he's not responding. So, folks, that's enough. We've got 106 people here. Larry needs to get back to getting his treatment and getting back to work for the rest of the evening.
By the way, tonight I will be on Pastor Ernie Sanders, and I owe it to him, and I promised him I would come on, so I've got to do that tonight. But if you want to listen in, it's What's Right, What's Left on the internet, Pastor Ernie Sanders.
Yeah, you go to, yeah, go ahead, Larry. You can finish up and I'll.
Well, with that, folks, I'm spent.
Yeah.
I do need your help again today. Thank you, all of those that did yesterday. You were a godsend. I need more of you today, if you would, please. These are very trying times. These are times where it's just hard right now on me, schedule-wise. It's just very difficult keeping up with everything that I've committed to do. So if you can, please. And with that, I want to bid y'all a good day.
All right. Thanks, Larry.
You bet.
Okay. In order to help Larry, his PayPal account is nicholslive@aol.com. nicholslive@aol.com. If you have a bank account with Zelle, there is a way to transfer money to my Bank of America account, and we can forward it to Larry. Talk to your bank about it, and then text me. And we've done it once with one other person that worked. Something else that we've discovered works is you can buy a Visa gift card and mail that, but of course that doesn't get them the money today. And Zelle will also take, a day or two to get that processed through my bank to PayPal to him. So if you have PayPal, that is the fastest way. His address is on nicholslive.com if you want to mail cash only. If you need to send a check, it has to come to me, and I put it in my Bank of America account that I know I'm using just to put your money through that comes in checks to me, and I send it on to him immediately. And as soon as it's in my bank account, then I'll send it to him, and I also pay his phone bill. with funds. I keep money in the account to pay his phone bill. So that's money I take. I don't take any donation you give goes to Larry. It does not pay his phone bill. I do that. Let's see. If you go to nicholslive.com, there's a merchandise page and you can get Larry's CD. You can get the book 28 Years to Nowhere. I read chapter 10 out of that 2 days ago on Tuesday when Larry couldn't be with us. You can get the Never Socialism t-shirt. There's a Never Socialism bumper sticker you can buy. I think these are only $5 and we'll mail one to you. We did not yet get together, Larry and I, to do the script for making phone calls. So, we're going to put that off. Sorry, we had to delay that another day. If anybody wants to join us for prayer tomorrow night because of what the witches are doing at 11:45, the conference call will be at 11:45 p.m. Eastern. I'm typing in the number. It's 712-451-0725. The access code is 492215 #, and that's at 11:45 Eastern tomorrow night. If anybody again wants to hear Larry tonight, it's at 10 Eastern, 9 Central. He's going to be on with Pastor Ernie Sanders talking with Ellie. That was somebody that he was on with Jason Goodman. Was it this? No, he wasn't on this week. Last week when he was talking with Ellie, who's a journalist in Arkansas, discussing the Boys on the Track. So they're going to be talking with Pastor Sanders tomorrow about that. And to get there, you go to wrwl.org, and then you scroll down and hit 12:20 a.m. And then you scroll down and hit list, or when you get to 12:20 a.m., usually it's at the top, you do listen live. And that's at 10 p.m. tonight Eastern. See, is there anything else? I know we need somebody else who's got the ability to, chip in $1,000, chip in $10,000. Take some of this. If he knows the money is there, it takes a big piece of the stress off his shoulders, so that even though he's working long hours and just pushing himself unbelievably, CK was the receiver, and I have no idea. No, not Larry Live at AOL. No. It's Nichols Live. Nichols Live. You're going to have to call PayPal and ask about that. Because Larry's account is Nichols, just his last name, nicholslive@aol.com. So I don't know. CK is Chad King. That was somebody who, that's not legit, and Larry's not going to get that money. He was the one that did Larry's YouTube a couple years ago. And he opened up an AOL account and was telling people to send the money to him and he'd forward it, but he didn't. So I'm sorry, and call PayPal and see if you can get that back. So Larry's PayPal account is just his last name, nicholslive@aol.com. I guess that's it. It'll take me a couple minutes to get the program closed out and set up for tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow, same time. And if you want to join us tonight, Larry's on the radio. There's no chat room to do it in. It's on the radio station, but by going to WRWL, .org, you can get in to 12:20 a.m. and listen live from your computer. So thanks again, and we'll talk tomorrow. God bless you, and thanks for everything you did for Larry yesterday and what you're going to be able to do today. Thank you so much. Bye.